All right. To the family, how y'all doing out there? Today's a moon day, huh, y'all? Moon day is April 1st. All right. Let's get this thing started. About to bring my guest on. Let me get to a quick commercial. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Y'all get comfortable, all right? Be back in 30 seconds. We're gonna have an amazing show tonight to start off the week. All right. Be right back. Give me 30 seconds. Be right back.
The legendary Professor James Smalls come to Atlanta, Georgia for 2 days. April 6th and April 7th. You don't want to miss it. He's doing a public and a private event. Text me right now at 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. The legendary Professor James Smalls, as you've seen him on Hidden Colors and all the rest of the documentaries. Make sure you go to my Linktree at Linktree/King Simon the Numerator. Professor James Smalls in Atlanta, April 6th and April 7th.
All right, without further ado, want to welcome back to the platform my brother Q Reaves. Welcome back, my brother.
Man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. It's a blessing. All the above.
How your year has been so far?
Man, I would say this year, out of all the years, have kind of brought about a level of passion within myself that I haven't really noticed in these other years. And I know that the Chinese, who are kind of articulating these specific, year of the rat, year of the dragon, they're really talking about more primordial concepts. So each year you kind of tapping into something primordial, whether you are aware of it or not. But I'm so honored and so happy to be here during the awakening of Tiamat, awakening of her children, awakening of Black excellence. Bro, you are the embodiment of Black excellence. I'm honored to be a part of Black excellence. Since being a part of your movement, I haven't seen nothing but growth. And that's what Black excellence really represents. We got here because of Black excellence.
Indeed. I mean, shit, since you started like that, first I want to welcome everybody to the chat. Y'all feeling up fast tonight. Y'all excited, huh? We got 500 people out here. We're going to have a great show. Since you started out like that, Q, I mean, shit, you started out like that. Let's, you do something very, very, very interesting that I think is essential to the community, and it's called regression. What is it subconscious regression? What exactly is it?
Yeah, so the term regression means to go back into. Right. And I mean, every day, we as ancient people are always going back into ourselves. It's just a matter of what aspect of self are you going back into. You can go back into the conscious self, the things you've learned via people, via books, traditions. You can go into the subconscious self, which now deals with more ancestors, more gods, goddesses, all that extra spectrum. So, I mean, when you get to go back into these elements of self, it's really a beautiful thing. And that's what I do. I try to guide an individual. I try to show a person they could slow down to actually access this part of themselves. It's beautiful.
Indeed. No, it is. One just listen to you when you do these regressions. I mean, the information that comes out of them is amazing info. And one that you did that was very interesting, what gave me the inspiration to bring you on tonight. You said you did a regression with Tiamat.
Yes.
Now, Tiamat, you calling Tiamat, that's Big Mama.
Very much so.
You said when you think about Big Mama, we thinking about Big Mama and we hear that term a lot within the last 2 years in this spiritual community. You say Big Mama's a dragon.
Yes.
Big Mama's a dragon. So let's talk about your regression with Tiamat and this concept of Big Mama being this primordial dragon. Q, I want to hear about this, man.
Yes. So much was said during this regression. A regression is usually about 2 hours long. Right. A person gets in a relaxed state and starts to access information within themselves, of voices, of personalities within themselves. And it's kind of like you are there as a spectator communicating to a very powerful presence. And some of the other lesser species, and I don't need to specify what that is, but some of the lesser species, they really look at these gods, these goddesses as something bigger than themselves, compared to something that is themselves. And this is the difference between us and them. We get this information and we can see ourselves in it. They get this information and they see other people or what they want themselves to be. There's a difference. Wow. So when Tiamat came forward, she was very adamant about getting one message out there. And I'm going to make sure that's heard before anything else. Please she says her children need to understand that they are not stuck to one timeline. It's like the dragon, which takes like this figure 8 symbol, where you can be in one sphere of influence and you can be in another. You could be in one heaven or you could be in one hell. You can merge one body together and understand the dynamics of them both. But she was basically expressing that we're at an age where the divine feminine is rising. And it's not in the way that we thought it would be, in a way that it could be like love and light and unity and beautiful union. She explained to me that it's actually going to be the furiosity of the divine feminine. Before we reach the heart, we got to deal with everything else that we done did to her. And it made sense. And she said that if my children don't have the ability to see a better reality, they could be stuck in this fury. They could be stuck in the anger of the divine feminine. I mean, Tyler Perry knows this with his Angry Black Woman series and constantly encouraging that narrative. But she basically said that if you have awareness that if you're in a world right now and you're doing well, and everyone else around you is kind of dealing with hell. My lights is getting cut off. My car is getting repo. All these problems that they're dealing with. She said she's doing this now to prove to you we're in two different worlds. That some of us are already in this alternate timeline. But we won't feel the wrath of the divine feminine. We're going to feel the embrace. It's kind of like the wrath of the divine feminine would be like an aborted child, in comparison to a child that actually gets to go through the womb and be born through the loving process of this divine feminine. Some are going to be aborted while others are going to be embraced. Wow. So what she basically informed me is you really want to get aware of your dragon essence. You really want to get aware of your dragon light. And it's so interesting to know that this dragon light is really, really predominant. For example, the movie Golden Child. Eddie Murphy. Now, keep in mind, those of you who have ever dialed into the movies, understand that these movies are giving us perspectives of dimensions. So, for example, a movie that came out in 1910, silent films, you're dealing with the first dimension, 1920s, 2D, 30s, 3D, 4D, 5D, 60s, 70s, 80s, 8D. And when you start dealing with these different movies, showing you these different time frames, you can really discover a lot of truths in these things. So I've always say, pay attention to the movies. It's not for everybody, but there's a lot of information being relayed in these movies. So the Golden Child is actually speaking of the golden light. Now, some of us in the Black community have seen this golden light in another reference. It's called The Last Dragon. Now, The Last Dragon was an incredible pop culture movie produced by Quincy Jones, by the way, someone who is very into the esoteric, who really comes from Motown days. He's fully aware of some of the principles of these things. But he drops this movie, The Last Dragon, and it even shows you the two wars of the light, the golden light versus the red light. And that's shown enough. Where he's hitting you with the red light and he's showing you the red dragon, which is another movie reference, and kind of showing the control that he is operating under, which is more root, which is more, I am a god, I am the way. And the reality is they're behaving that way because they've been kept away from the sun. Think about what roots do. Roots is away from the sun. They're rooted. They're stuck in their root. They're stuck in that red chakra. They're stuck in the red dragon. Now, I got a couple little notes, break down some of these things. Basically, she was saying It's important for us to realize the difference between a dragon and a serpent.
Okay.
It's important to know that these two are not the same concepts. She says it's no different than a wolf and a dog. She says you don't compare a wolf to a dog. A dog is a domesticated construct. So is a reptile. And she says, and those that are operating from their reptilian aspect of themselves are domesticated entities. When we have something instilled in us that's greater than just a domesticated beast, that we are stronger than just a domesticated concept. Reptile, a domesticated dragon. But yeah, I go in. You want to go in?
Yeah, if you want to go on to your notes now, I could. Yeah, and then I guess we'll kick it after that. If you have any notes you want to touch on.
All right, let's run it real quick, concise. I try to make these things as simple as possible. I often explain when spirituality gets to the point where a second or third grader can't really grasp the concepts, then it's possible you yourself haven't grasped it. So if you can make it as simple as a second grader can understand it, all the way up into a college student can understand it, you truly have grasped an ideology or concept. So I try to make it as simple as possible. So what Tiamat told me, she says that you have to understand the universe and cosmic creation. So I said, okay, give me more. She says the universe represents a continuous controlled force that creates new space, new time, new matter, and new energy. She says, but then there is something that sits adjacent to it. She says, this is the antiverse. And she says, this represents a continuous, uncontrolled force that is redefining space, time, matter, and energy. So one deals with bringing something anew, Anubis, Nunaki, bringing something anew versus redefining. So it's almost what she was explaining to me. It's kind of like transferring versus transforming. Where she says certain aspects of the universe is going through a system of transference, while then there's an antiverse that is going through transformation. And she says, my children have been connected to both worlds, both systems, both simulations. And when you don't understand that you are a part of both of these systems, you don't know thyself. She says, always remember, this is a simulation simulating you, but you have to know the depth of you. If you don't know the depth of you, you won't understand the depth of your simulation. And she says she doesn't like to call it a universe. She calls it a simulation. And within this simulation, it is then broken down into aspects. A part of this simulation is a universe, a continuous controlled force, creating time, space, matter, and energy. She says, and then there is an antiverse that represents a continuous, uncontrolled force, meaning there is no effort put towards this. It just exists. It's like floating. It's like, damn, how did I show up here and there was $1,000 waiting for me? I didn't even know how. It's that kind of thing where you did not expect it. You did not control it. You did not even add effort or energy towards it, and it still just happened. So she says, so we have a universe and an antiverse. She says, but then you have to understand what is a part of the universe and antiverse. And she says, you have something called cosmic design and chaotic design. She says, cosmic design is the orderly and harmonious arrangement of the expression and creation of the universe. I mean, it sounds beautiful. I ain't gonna lie. Like some of the concepts is beautiful, but you have to sit and think about what this means for you as a solo soul. All right. Orderly. That's your teamwork. Harmonious. That is teamwork. So in order for it to really be a cosmic design, it requires unity. And if we're not operating out of unity, we're taking a cosmic design and misusing it. She says, then you have the chaos design. She says, this is disorder, but it's also representation of solo time manipulation. She says right now the human is being abused by time. Time is telling you what to do versus you telling time what to do.
Damn. Damn.
We've
Okay.
always been supposed to tell time what to do. She says, and I even gave the proof in the name, chaos, or kanos, or chronos, where the word chaos comes from. And we know that Chronos is the ruler of time. I mean, B-Del mentioned this recently in your live, the importance of understanding this primordial construct. But this entity, Chronos, chaos, represents a ruler of time. No one else tells Chronos what to do when it comes to time. He is the sole time ruler, something that we're working on experiencing and developing within ourselves. Now, keep in mind, Chronos is associated to Saturn. Saturn represents a melanated box. And a melanated box is representation of going into one's subconscious, unconscious mind and sparking consciousness. Now, she says, from the chaos design came the cosmic design. There was no cosmic design and then the chaos design. She says, no, it came from disorder. It was a mess. It was a mess. It was a mess. And understanding, think of it like eggs being scattered all over the place. It's an egg hunt. Easter just passed. That's not order. It's chaos. Spread the eggs everywhere. And you as this bunny, you as this Chronos, you as this bad bunny, this devil, all these horns are references to Pan. But you as this entity now go around and collect the cosmic egg, aka cosmic creation. This is what these are representations of. People don't quite understand some of these esoteric meanings. But she says, just simply think of it like this. She says, black, that represents chaos design. Code. Also, code, C-O-D-E, where you will gain codes once you fade into black. White represents the cosmic design. Hot, Horus, hours. This is what that would associate to. And she says these two systems develop the creatures that I'm going to mention in this breakdown, including this dragon Tiamat energy. Now, keep in mind, we just got out of our cold period. This is basically a period transitioning into the light, January into March. Now, keep in mind, January has the god Anu in it. February has the elemental iron, Fe is the breakdown for iron. And then March is literally a directive. So it's interesting that you're even getting a directive almost. Fe, iron, almost symbolizes the sword. So it's almost like representation of fighting death during the January, February, March period. While then you spring into this new time frame, which happens during the end or beginning of April. Now, what's crazy is today is April Fools. Many don't even understand the origin of April Fools. So let's break it down real simple. April Fools is a Hindu festival called the Festival of Holi. This festival was where many people came out to honor how the good has taken over evil, that they've made it through the cold period, through the chaotic period. Now, later it was adopted by medieval Christians, and this is where you get the fool name from. This was called the Festival or Feast of Fools or the Feast of the Ass. Yes, ass. And this is why even during the biblical references, Christ rode into Jerusalem on an ass to show he understands this festival or the principles of the festival. And here's the principles of the festival. During the Feast of Fools, they would role reverse. So basically, men would dress up like women. Children would do adult things. Adults would do children things. The poor would act rich. The rich would act homeless. They would basically revert in different roles. They would even let poor people take on powerful positions like the Pope, like the priest. Now, that was their interpretation of understanding what the fool means. But let me break down what the fool means even deeper. April Fools is related to the changing of seasons from winter into spring. This is essentially symbolic for the personal transformation one person takes to shed one's skin. Dragon, reptile. The skin being old habits, the skin being old beliefs. Also connecting to fooling oneself into a new way of thinking or being. This is the whole concept of shedding one's skin.
Wow.
Originally starting from dragons, de-evolving into a domesticated version of itself, known as a reptile or a bird. Now, let's get into the whole reptiles. All right. Now, I often say that these reptiles are domesticated dragons. Dragons represent freedom. Dragons represent a chaos period where there was no one defining your timeline. You get to pop through multiverses. You were able to go into the future. You was able to go into the past. You were able to tap into a multiverse. These are all the different things you were able to do as a primordial soul. And as a primordial soul, you tapped into a variety of constructs and to the point where something might have happened. Now, this is where the theory of Lemuria and Atlantis comes in, that something traumatic happens that changes a soul. Now, the theory is these hybrid creatures, these hybrid primordials, were a combination of species. They were never one solo thing. Now, I'm going to get into the name of these creatures in a second, but they were never just like, when you see Odin, it's a man with a beard. When you see Anubis, it's a dog with almost a humanoid body, but you could just say it's a dog alien. You're not seeing a dog with a dragon tail or a dog with the body of a lion. You know, you're not getting these hybrids like a sphinx, like a griffin. These are different. So these reptiles, they've kind of got captured into an ideology. And these ideologies is a simple four-frame system: fight, flight, fornicate, and freeze. This means that you have tapped into your lesser dragon. If you are operating off of these four systems, fight, every time someone tries to give you advice, you fight. Every time someone tries to embrace your ideologies, you fight with yourself. Am I wrong? Maybe I ain't even telling the truth. I mean, there's a lot of fight in us. Flight, you're always running away from stuff. I had a regression today where an energy came forward and it scared the crap out of my client so much she ended up ending the session 40 minutes early. Keep in mind, this is a $200 session. You just go give up on yourself 40 minutes. It's crazy. You can't be flying away from things when you said you want this. But it happens all the time. Baby fathers, baby mamas, always flying the coop, running away. But this is why I also break these ideologies down in colors. Remember, blue light, red light. Now, I only told you about the red light that you've seen with Show Enough, but you don't often understand the blue light, because the blue light is kept away from you. Now, the blue light are usually associated to grays. That's why when you often see a depiction of a gray, there's always this bluish hue associated to them. Now, what a gray is, that can be a topic within itself, but they were basically considered futuristic entities, various futuristic entities. And if you travel far enough into the future, you start seeing a oneness, where everything and everyone kind of looks the same. So when you're talking about a gray, you don't know if you're dealing with a reptile, a mammal, or amphibian. It's a gray that is a futuristic version of something that it was originally. And that's the blue. Now, keep that in mind. Red, fight. Flight, blue. You know, fly away. You need the blue sky. Fornicate, red. Freeze, blue. When you are operating out of flight mode or freeze mode, you pulling on this blue light. When you operating out of flight mode, out of fornicate mode, you dealing with the red light. And those that are usually dealing with a whole bunch of fight or fornicate, where do they end up? In jail? Nature Boy's where right now? Because of what? Fornicating. Because that's the root. That's a trap. So keep in mind this light can operate in 3 hues. Blue, red, you want to activate golden light. Golden light represents illumination. This is where you get the Illuminati from. This is where you get the little minions at the beginning of the Minion movie. Talk about illumination. They're always trying to help you understand. Usher, turn on the light or turn off the light, whatever term he's using. But it's representation of self-awareness. That when you truly don't have to listen to anything or anyone else, now it's okay to have individuals as confirmations. It's okay for individuals to be representations of some of the thoughts you've already had. But be careful when certain individuals are placing new thoughts, new emotions, new manifestations, new forms of imagination onto you. You want to be self-aware, and it takes time. The universe literally looks at you as an adolescent child, feeding you blue lollipops and red lollipops until you can step up to self-illumination or tapping into that golden light of self. Now, they also like to show this reference because there's a whole group of individuals that call themselves the Golden Dawn. And this is also them trying to show, hey, guess what? We know this knowledge. And what's crazy is they're really trying to show that they know this knowledge so that we can give them more game. They can only go so far. See, let me give you a quick history. In ancient times, when we had the Americas, we had gods and goddesses dwelling on this plane. This was considered the land of the giants, the land of the Nephilim, or the land of gods and goddesses. Giant gods and goddesses, children of angels. When you came here, you had to have the correct knowledge. So when the Templars and the Vikings came on over here, they ain't come here on some gang, let's destroy everything. No, they came with their secret hand symbols. They came with their symbology. They came showing that they were in the same alignment as them. And when the indigenous saw them, they were like, oh, okay, that's my brother. He knows the same. He understands the triangle and the circle. We understand the triangle and the circle. Let's sit down and have conversation. See, I come from New Haven, Connecticut. Yale started in the late 1600s. We weren't even that colonized. But how we get bricks to build a whole Yale? It's because these buildings were already in existence, and they broke them buildings down and brought them into a structure you known as Yale. Those are colonizers. Those are pillagers. Those are those who came allegedly with Christopher Columbus. And he came over claiming he was a Templar, showing the same flags, adorning himself with the same lingo and hand gestures. But the reality was he was a fraud. He wasn't really there to exchange with their brothers and sisters. It was to pillage them. So a little known fact, the colonizer ain't no joke. So just give you a quick story of a reptilian construct trapped within the root. I had a client today. I did a regression. She gets regressed. I tell my client to do a certain action. And it's important for me to tell your body to do something to get you into a certain alignment. So I say, get in motion. I don't tell you how to get in motion. You could be horseback riding. You could be surfing. You could be riding on a magic carpet. There's no rules. You could do whatever your mind can take you, but get in motion. So when she gets in motion, she starts realizing she's running. And I'm like, okay, is it, like a little exercise, jog, a little brisk run? She's like, nah, I'm running for my life. I was like, oh, shit, okay, all right, hold on. So what you running from? And she was like, I hear dogs. I feel like I'm a slave. So I said, okay, what do you look like? She was like, I'm a man, and I'm talking to a female. And I said, where are you trying to get to? She says, I'm trying to get to my son. I'm trying to get to my son. So then fast forward, when she realized where she was trying to get to, the scene switched to her holding her, or to him holding his son and shaking to his son. I won't let you go. 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 I said, why are you panicking? And she starts crying. She starts freaking out. And I tell her to stay calm, relax. She says, someone's coming for me. So I said, instead of you running from what's coming to you, it's time to deal with it, to address it. Don't run from this. You ain't in this timeline right now. Don't be scared of this, but you seeing it. So go address it head on. She says she addresses it head on. There's a Caucasian man, big slave owner, and she says he says that she sees that she unalived him.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hold on, how'd that happen so fast? I was like, wait, I was just asking you to acknowledge him. Hello, something. Don't how you jump into, unaliving. And she was like, I can't help myself. My rage got the best of me. And I said, does that happen to you in life? Like, you got anger issues? Like, are you with a man right now? You got kids? I mean, these could be telltale signs. There's some anger going on or not. She's like, no, I'm not in a relationship, and no, I don't have no kids. Even the way she responded was a little aggressive. I was like, it was just a question. Relax. I said, so you admit you have anger issues? She's like, I do. So I said, so it's possible that this anger issue could stem from this past life, this experience that you're having. She says, it's possible, but I don't care. He needed to go. I said, well, let me tell you what they just told me. Because in these sessions, I get like spiritual advice as well. It's like my ancestors speak to me about what's happening in these sessions. And she says, this is what you need to tell your client. And say my client's name is Elsa. She says, you need to tell Elsa that she has a murderer inside of her. And that she didn't know that this murderer has been with her for the last 5 incarnations. And she says, in every incarnation, he has been affecting you in some negative way. I said, how did this murderer get inside of her? She says, the murderer was originally in the slave owner. He unalived someone, was housing this spirit inside him. It jumped from him into the slave, and the slave unalived the slave owner. She says, so now this spirit is inside her, all these different incarnations. And I said, whoa. I said, so how is that really affecting her? She's smart enough to know not to do nothing stupid like that, to go to jail. She says, yes, she is, but are her future kids? I said, wait, huh? I said, so are you telling me that this murderous spirit is waiting to be born in her child? She says, exactly. So it can exact its revenge on her.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
I said, whoa. So this is what happens when something's stuck in its root, when it's stuck in that red zone and that red light special. You start fighting, fornicate. Remember, them are just the 2 characteristics of the red light. And you want to stay away from overly active red energies. Now, you can feel it. You can feel. See, the beautiful thing is when you finally get with a partner, especially one that you get dialed into, even when you're making love, she can tell if it's coming from the bottom of you, from the center of you, or from the top of you. Are you in your head? Are you in your root? Or are you in your heart? I'm not gonna lie. I even got to get checked sometimes. Nope, stop. That's you doing. I feel your red light. I don't want that. And then don't talk to me nice. Blue light. That's also the throat chakra. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Don't just say everything. I want to feel your heart.
Right.
So I've also kind of connected the green and the red. And this is the green and the gold. And it's interesting because copper sits out long enough, it turns what color? Turn green. So Tiamat, she says, you need to be careful of the individuals that walk around with I am God. How are you God but you sick? How are you God, but you financially struggling? How are you God, but your children don't respect you? Be careful walking around with these titles, because I actually went even deeper on my client, and I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, have you ever had any interaction with gods or goddesses in the life that you've had? My client was like, yeah, sure. I understand God, and God is good and evil, and God is energy. I said, okay, I got you, but energy got to take form. And we found out that your soul is 700 years old. So in the 700 years, what forms of God or goddess have you taken on? Oh, I never thought about that. I didn't know I could take on the form of a god or a goddess. Why not? Why wouldn't you think that you could have taken on a form of a god or goddess? There was a time you were operating in your godhead, in your goddess head, but you can't disrespect yourself and take that title, take that claim right now. There's still more work that needs to be done. I am on the path of becoming a god. I am on the path of unlocking my godhead. These terms your body could believe more. But you start saying certain things, your body be like, bitch, you sure? You sure? You a god, but we in this McDonald's lines right now? You a god, but how much pork did we eat this week? You're a god, but we can't even breathe going up the stairs. You god? Your body is completely confused and disconnected. And you don't want that. You do not want this disconnection between the Godhead and the body. So, I keep going, but
Well, let's kick it for a bit. We about let me give a shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Wow, Q just started going off, and I mean, some interesting. Like I tell you, these regressions, man. I just be listening, and I be like, whoa, they be so interesting. So, good stuff right there, Q. Definitely good stuff. So with this regression with Tiamat, Big Mama, what do you think is one of the keys to accessing this dragon energy that's dormant within a lot of us? Like, what's some of the keys you think right now, Q?
So the biggest issue we have right now is unawareness. Your soul equals awareness, and your soul grows. See, the average soul is operating in a 6 feet diameter. Meaning that your soul is interacting, whether you are aware of it or not, with everything within a 6 feet radius. Now, the universe does this because you can't go bigger until you could at least control your 6 feet. And this is the whole 2020, 2021 situation where they wanted everyone to be 6 feet apart because they were worried about this EM field interacting with others. Where your spirits and jumped there. It's just a whole bunch of stuff happening they ain't quite understand. They were terrified of what 2020 vision could represent, what people could really see after they start interacting with each other. So they had to do something to affect this. But my point is, awareness was very, very vital, and trust. These are the two things that allow me to get to the point I am in my own spiritual growth. Really trusted myself. Even trusted my wrongs will lead to a right. That's okay.
Like that one.
So
like that one.
I realized that trust leads to awareness, and awareness can lead to a greater range of thought. So she says you really need to understand the different dragon breeds. She says they just quick to think that there's just one staple or one type of dragon. She says, no. She says, we've mentioned them before, the different dragon species. And she says, we originally started as an energy that decided to take on a expression. And she said that these expressions started off in feathers, in scales, in fur, in bark, in stone, in clouds, in dirt, in gills, fire, water, air, earth. These are expressions of energy.
Right.
And she says, some of us wanted to be light as a feather. Some of us wanted to be the balancer or equalizer, scales. And from being the equalizer, you became the library, which is why Libra is where the word library comes from.
Right.
Because the library has to be balanced.
Right.
Can't just give one type of information. That's how libraries burn down. Can't hide the information. How libraries burn down. Can't be secretive Libras, secretive libraries. Fur, the ability to keep self-warmth. Bark. Now, interesting. This is what a dog does, right? But it's on a tree. Now, I'm not going to hit y'all with that connection just yet, but the bark is basically layers. And it's layers. And it's kind of understanding the levels of layers. The bark becomes the tree. But stone, something that can move extremely slow on a subatomic rate, but yet be extremely strong, like the turtle. That's how the turtle came from the stone. It's deep, but she says you have to understand these concepts. Clouds, transparent. It's where ghosts come from. Dirt, mud, trash, gills. So she says you got to understand these different concepts of us dragons. She says we as dragons took on these different forms. She says some of us had feathers. Some of us had scales. Some of us had fur. If any of you ever remember the movie The Never-Ending Story, there was a dog dragon in that movie that was hairy. It was a hairy dragon. And we don't even want to conceptualize that. There were dragons made of bark, dragons made of stone. Puff the Magic Dragon, dragons made of clouds. Get it out the mud, get it out the dirt. There was dirt dragons, guild dragons, or water dragons. So she says it's important for you to understand some of these things, and you've heard of them before. One of the most powerful dragons locked away in our subconscious, Tiamat. Tia, meaning goddess.
Right.
Mayat, also even broken down as matter. Goddess, matter. Tiamat being the first embodiment of the goddess matter. This is why there's theories from Tiamat comes your Isis, comes your other mother-like gods and goddesses. But she says it's important for you to understand Tiamat. This was something that was able to take on any form. She was above all the others. If she wanted to take on the form of feathers, scales, fur, bark, stone, she had the ability to do anything. This is why they always want to be the TI or Tia, tip, the top, the highest you can get. Now it's crazy because in the 90s, we know of twin sisters known as Tia and Tamara. And the whole concept of that is Tia means goddess and Tamara literally means the word to mirror. So it's something that's trying to reflect the dragon, reptile, reflect the dragon, reflect the goddess. Now I'll break down what that is in a second, but that's what that is. She is the first to create a tribe of goddess worship. From her came the order of the goddesses. Now, during her existence, other entities emerged. The Phoenix being one of these dragons. and you never even thinking, wow, the phoenix could be categorized as a dragon. Indeed, it can. The griffin, the sphinx, the kraken, the cyclops, the banshee. These are all forms of the dragon. And these are also hybrid creatures. They were not one thing. The griffin, body of a lion, wings of a falcon. The phoenix, it was like, looked like the toucan bird, but then again, it had like a large beak, bigger than any birds that you've seen. There's just different hybrids that come. The sphinx, you see, that is a hybrid as well. So these different dragon breeds is something that we have to start thinking about. You start to access things that go beyond the war of gods and goddesses when you start to acknowledge things that come before the gods and goddesses. Tiamat, the great phoenix, the griffin, the sphinx, the kraken, the cyclops, showing you how important these eyes don't even really mean when it comes to starting to open your third eye. And now vision is solo. Instead of you constantly dealing with a dualistic aspect of self. All right.
Yo, Q. So is that why you talking about Tiamat and Tia and the tip and the top? Is this why when you born, maybe Tiamat communicates through us through the titty? That's why the baby got to suckle the titty.
Yeah.
So the titty is like an extension of Tiamat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it wasn't always fire that she gave out. She nourished us. She would produce for us.
There's something in the cosmos called Galactus or something like that.
Yes.
KT be talking about it.
Yes.
Man. And the breast produces something called. Wow, this is some heavy shit, man.
This is what they tell me in these sessions.
Tiamat with the titties. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And this is why one of the first personifications of Tiamat is the Venetian Aunt Jemima, or the woman that got put on display with the big butt and the big
Venus Hottentot. Yeah. Gotta be
these will all be aspects of her on a smaller level.
And Q, if you notice, when they show goddesses in ancient times, like, we live in a society where everybody wants to be slim and slender. The goddesses was big women, big breasts, big ass, big hips. So they wasn't like what us in our society, what we will consider beauty. This was like a full-figured woman, the Venus Hottentot, or some of them figures that we see, the statues or whatever. Wow, this is some interesting stuff, man.
Because on a deeper level, it's representation of the womb in comparison to representation of the phallus.
Okay.
All these sticks running around, that's phallus.
Right.
They wanted to slim everyone down to all be a part of the order of the Father. But the larger women during that time was representation of the embodiment of the universe. But we also have to realize during that time, they had the ability of cellular manipulation. So they can be large, tall. Pretty Woman says it best in Julia Roberts. I'm whatever you want me to be. Woo. That is what they were able to become.
Yeah.
Same for many of the women in the strip clubs, still invoking that same energy. The way they enter the strip club is completely different than what they look like once they get situated and out there. It'd be like magic. But yeah.
That wow. So did she talk about when you had this regression? I know a lot of people gonna holler at you about regressions after this, man. But when she when you had this regression, did she talk about who betrayed her? How did we wind up in this position? What did she say about the betrayal that took place?
All right. Okay.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got almost 2,000 people in here. I'm with the brother Q Reaves. I see y'all active in the chat. I'm gonna take questions in about 15 minutes, y'all. Let us get through this in about 15 minutes. We'll take a brief Q&A. But this thing is good. If you just came in, you might want to rewind it. This thing done got good tonight. Q in his bag. He B-Dale dropped 70 something other night. Q trying to match him. He about to drop 70 something tonight. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, my brother.
All right. So she says you have to learn about what came out of the dragon, which is these reptiles. Now, these reptiles, they are what we call the scales. Remember, reptiles have scales. So they chose to take on this scale construct. From the scales, created a various amount of entities known as reptilians. Another aspect of these reptilians are vampires. Another aspect of these vampires are Nephilim. One of these descendants of these reptiles is Enoch. Enoch is a biblical entity that was able to walk with angels, not in his original body. So he did the same thing a reptile does, shed its body and picks up a new body. So Enoch was initiated into the priesthood of Melchizedek. The priesthood of Melchizedek is an order that comes out of Enoch and Noah. And these Enochian Noah constructs have decided to side with an order known as the Pantheon. Now, this Pantheon is broken up into two constructs. You have the Pantheon and the Archons. The Archons have become what you know as the Watchers, and the Pantheon is what you know as the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki chose to possess a group of powerful wizards known as priests, more specifically the priesthood of Melchizedek. They called themselves the kings of righteousness that secretly praise the divine feminine because they are under an order of the Orion queen. Now, what destroyed Tiamat was a feminine construct coming out of Orion. There was an Orion queen who wanted the territory of Earth and sent one of her greatest champions, known as Marduk, to seduce one of the avatars of Tiamat. Now, the avatar of Tiamat is theorized to be Lilith or Hecate. This was also how you get in the Kabbalistic story of Adam and Lilith. Adam being possessed by this entity known as Marduk. So now, how did Tiamat fall? Well, when she placed her consciousness into a humanoid, and this humanoid fell in love with Adam, and the betrayal happened, Tiamat wasn't destroyed, she was changed. So another word for Hecate, Lilith, well, sometimes she's considered Vega. Sometimes they even consider her Venus. And we know of a very popular place in America called Las Vegas, signifying that Tiamat is not sleeping. Tiamat is not gone. She has lost awareness of herself. And this is a story to help you understand where we're going into the future. That the divine feminine on this planet is going to be abused so much by her creation, by her father, husband, child, that she's going to get lost to herself. And she's going to become furious when she discovers that she has been lied, tricked, forced to be forgotten or lost. And she's going to go after her oppressor, which is crazy, is because right now this represents the black woman. And on a deeper level, they feel their oppressor is the white man. This is why Fannie Mae is going after Trump. This is why the chick in New York is going after Trump. These are divine, feminine, melanated women that are going after who they believe is the slave master, what they believe to be the issue or the problem. But the reality is Trump ain't gonna fix the sisterhood. I mean, you tell me now. Let's do an experiment. Let's put 1,000 ladies into a convention center. We have $50,000 to offer these 1,000 ladies and ask them, what can we do with it? Give them 24 hours. Give them 48 hours. Do you think they're going to come up with a concise conclusion and work together and really be able to figure out what to do? Shit, say $1 million. I don't know if they're ready for that yet, but neither are the men. Neither are the men. But there was a time that the divine feminine could all come together and solutions emerge. But Tiamat is trying to show you her story. The story of being great, being the center of everything, and then being broken up into pieces like Horus, and waiting for her child, Brother Rich, Black Magic 363, waiting on her child to help put her back together again. That's what we're doing. So who destroyed Tiamat? Love. But through love, destruction is only a form of reformation. And we are now in this reformation period. And a part of reformation means introducing something new, which is this technology. See, the divine feminine in ancient times ain't really rock with the tech like that.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't never been a strong suit. But the divine feminine, in my personal opinion, is probably using this tech more than men. Makeup blogs, and I mean, I could just give you tons of examples of how Kylie Jenner is a billionaire. How? From TikTok makeup blogs. So the tech is being reformed into the psyche of the divine feminine. So kind of think of it as like us in a primordial form had decided to take on like a cyborg suit. And instead of this cyborg suit being something outside of us, we created it. We thought of it. We manifested it. And now this is an additional armor to kind of help us against some of the children behavior or her children that are kind of affecting or factoring into, you know, the Orion Taurus wars, the Anunnaki versus what I call the Archons. The Archons are basically like your Odin, your Nordics. You know, it's that whole concept. Her still trying to mediate into some of these cosmic wars that are affecting humanity.
Right, indeed. What's Tiamat's relationship? You talked earlier about time and Chronos. What's Tiamat's relationship with time?
All right. So here's what's really interesting. So we often think of the symbol Ouroboros. And this is a serpent eating its own tail.
Yeah.
Ouroboros is actually a secret code for Orion. The original name for Orion was known as Oros. And from Oros came Eros. Eros is a Greek god that is often known as Cupid. This is a powerful child of the heavens that has a bow. And with this bow, it can project love or war, depending on which arrow was thrown. Now, Orion represents this entity, Eros. All right. There is then a queen of Eros. She's known as Aphrodite. But Aphrodite isn't her only name. These gods play name games. Another name for Aphrodite would be Ishtar, Inanna, Freya, Hathor, or Ashera. All right. So this queen of Orion is using her son, Arrow. Get it? An arrow, era, E-R-A, an era, a time frame, era, an arrow directing a time. She is using her child. This is no different than like Christ and how we get Christ to be associated to time. What the BC and AD? What? How is Christ associated to time? Because through this child, she is keeping us in a time loop. And this is how she is affecting time. She has sided with another primordial construct known as Chronos. And she says that I will give you power over these entities until they discover they're on their own time. That's kind of like the secret. It's the same thing for like spirits. You can possess this individual, but the moment they find out about you, you gotta go.
Damn.
They found you. It's a wrap. Hide and seek. It's over. They got you. Same for time. I'm not on nobody's time. I'm not on nobody's time. If we're doing this live right now, this is because we agreed
Agreement, yeah.
on this timeline.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the difference between those being on time versus in time.
Q, man, come on, man. You putting on the show tonight. Woo! Q putting on the show tonight, y'all. God damn, these young brothers ain't come here to play. They ain't come here to play. One thing, because I want to get to some what time. You passed the hour, what an hour, y'all. If you came in late, what a hour. I advise you to rewind this. Okay, I want to talk to you about this. Since we're talking about so much primordial energy and dragon energy and all of that, let's talk about you mentioned this in the live you did, these primordial sounds. Now, we were taught about mantras, we were taught about certain words. I am, Dr. B got the I allow, and these fancy words we use in the English language. What about these sounds? These just what it could be, whatever. And a lot of people make these sounds, certain sounds during sex or during sounds of excitement. A player dunks the ball, he may let out a sound, just certain sounds come out at certain times of extreme emotions. So talk to me about these primordial sounds that we don't know where the hell they come from, Q, but when we go through an emotion, they just come out, my brother. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. For sure. So from the body of Tiamat, it is said that she created one of her most revered forms was her in a fur form. Mm-hmm. From her came what you know as wolves, dogs, cats, Bigfoots, werewolves. This is and Pan. These all fall into that same category. Dog backwards is God. Cats are these Lyrans, and Lyra is really important. I'm not gonna get into all that, but this is very.
I just did a show on that.
There you go. All right. Bigfoots is actually one of the older forms of ourselves. Science wants to tell you that these are a Neanderthal-like species, when the reality these are a Bigfoot-like species. And when they took us off of a 13 moon cycle, it threw off our cadence to even connect with that version of ourselves. But basically, this is that. This is camaraderie. This is when you making these sounds, you're not doing it alone.
No, yeah.
This is unity. And this is how we used to express ourselves when we got together. One dog barks or howls, the next dog howls with it. We are a pack because we represent this pack. And whether we want to remember it or acknowledge it or not, that is locked away in us. Listen. Hold on real quick.
Just let it flow, family. Don't fight this. Let it go.
I mean, I have tons of these recordings, but my point is, there's so much stuff locked away within us. Oh my god! How am I supposed to? I'm supposed to tell a person you are hypnotized and you're gonna go bakalaka. I can't. What I'm supposed to say? I don't even know how to. It just happens. If you allow you to trust yourself, because at the end of the day, she realized that was a dragon communicating to her, and she over time was able to start understanding what was being said. It actually goes out throughout the recording, and this is important. I said, how do you know some of these things won't emerge again? We don't know all the secrets and all the information. What happens when some of these ancient languages start surfacing? What happens if extraterrestrial species start coming out the sky speaking this shit and the government don't know how to interpret it? Do you know what kind of commodity you're going to be? You think you got resources now. Imagine if you're one of the 10 humans on this planet that can understand this extraterrestrial communication.
Right.
And they know this stuff is real. This came from a system known as Dolores Cannon, and she worked with the CIA. There's a movie called They Stare at Goats, where they're trying to blow up a goat with their mind. If you don't think that they know about this stuff, Project Paperclip brought over the Nazi scientists, and we know they was into the esoteric.
Big time.
Would be crazy to not want to slow down and at least give us the opportunity to understand or unlock some of the stuff within ourselves. So it's your ancestors celebrating. When you hearing them primordial sounds, when you hearing them grunts, them clicks, them moans, it is a celebration. And sometimes you don't celebrate yourself enough, or at least you don't do it the way that your body can feel it. Because if you ever go, your whole thing vibrates.
Whole body vibrates. Whole body. Whole body. That's a good point. That's a great point, bro. Your whole shit be like shit. That's a great point, bro. Damn, that's real. That's some real shit right there. Wow. Shout out to the spirit of Dolores Cannon. I actually did I did a show with Rod Hayes when we was breaking down some of her work. And she was tapped in. So shout out to her. Let's get to I'm trying to think. Man, Q, you put on a performance tonight, man. Let me see if there's something that primordial sound thing. Do you think is there one sound in particular that you think we should keep in mind?
Be
like
careful.
Maybe when the eclipse happened on the 8th, we supposed to let out a grunt or some shit like that, man. Like, is there? Oh, here you go again. He had to
be careful of this type of communication. This is considered Enochian communication, and this is of a reptilian tongue. What you heard prior was more dragon. This is more Enochian. This is a spell language, and some of these languages, men like to use these languages because they're putting spells on women, because that's the only way they could ever be on the same level as them. That ain't it.
Many do not speak the variation of language you have. Not many like you on this planet, and you will soon find out what it is.
Spell language repeats the same thing. It's all about being repetitive.
Repetition.
Yes.
Repetition. Indeed.
And it's foreign to you, so you may not even be paying attention. But listen, when the universe flows, it's not limited to sounds, family. It got a whole wide range of stuff it could be expressing. But when you're hearing these repetitive things, that's spell work. That's spell work. That's hypnosis. It's called psychic possession.
I think that's why some of our greatest music, it goes beyond the English language, and they just start saying shit, start grunting, or just saying shit that there's not even really a word. You know what I'm saying?
Playboy Cardi. Yeah. Like, what is that? I was like, what? Yeah. It's like that. What? Okay.
Just came out. Just yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Wow, man. Wow. Yeah. This stuff is out. Wow. This is, somebody said, kind of weird. Yeah, this is like top 10 weird stuff. This isn't just weird. This is like in the top 10 of weird. So if y'all listening to this is in the top 10 of weird. So yeah, congratulations. This is out there. But we've been lied to. The thing about it is, family, we've been lied to so much. The truth is going to sound stranger. How does saying go in fiction? Is that
yeah?
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, but then when the truth be right there in your face, for example, everyone was like, man, why ain't Mace being messed with Puffy? Why don't, Mace was able to survive Puffy? He's a Mason. His name is Mason. What do you mean? He is in his own situation. He's good. That boy is good. And he is continuing certain Masonic traditions in Atlanta, being a part of the church. He got his own group. He got his own team. That's why see, this is why a person like Brother Rich could never be taken down easily. He got a team. He got a tribe. He got a group of people that are checking in and making sure he good. This is why it's important for us to tribe up, even if it's not a matter of physically tribing up. I want you to understand, you think about something long enough, it becomes true. If I think about Brother Rich's health and longevity and success on this platform, I just think about that every day. I don't need to give him that. I don't need to show up and do all these other things that other people closer should do. But I know that I can do this at a distance. Tribe, unity, thought, manifestation.
Your thoughts travel on a radio wave, travel on a radio wave in the ethers, man. So it's just, your thought just doesn't disappear, family. It's out there, man. So definitely take control of your thoughts, family. Yeah, thoughts become things. Yeah, they become things. Yeah. Let's get to some Q&A real quick, family. I mean, I had such a good time tonight on this show. Let's get to a brief Q&A from y'all. All right. See what y'all talking about. Once again, I'm with the brother Q Reaves. Q, before we get to the Q&A, tell the people your contact info before we get to the end, because people will start leaving at the end. So I know they're interested in your regressions. How can they contact you for regression, my brother?
Oh, yeah. So I try to make it as easy as possible. You can head on over to Q Reaves, just like how you see. There we go. Right here, qreaves.com. You head on over to qreaves.com. You're going to be able to book right through my website. I understand that we're in financial hardships for certain individuals. So I even created a payment option where you could break it up into payments. So this is something that you can still experience right away. Pay on it over time. The average session is about 2 hours long. It's at that 222 frequency at the moment. You can head on over to the website. I have herbal teas that I've been promoting. I realized how important it is for us to work on our breathing. So I created a very personal blend of teas that have helped with the opening up of my heart space and the opening up of my lungs. So I have an intro to regression. If you're not quite ready to get into the regression session itself and you want to kind of get an intro, that option is right there on the website as well. Head on over to my YouTube, qreaves.com, same contact information. Talk about many different, very, very interesting topics. And it's always a pleasure to connect with y'all, family. Thank you. Just for the acknowledgement, honestly.
Indeed. All right. I see somebody wrote, why not follow your intuition? Yeah, definitely. My intuition told me to ask Q Reaves these questions tonight, though. You gotta understand, God works through people. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes your intuition will tell you to go left, you make it right, to tell you to go right, and then a person will be there to give you the exact message that you needed at that time. That doesn't mean that message is coming from outside of you. That message is still coming from inside of you, just through another vessel. So God works through people, family. So you got to decide when it's the appropriate time to ask somebody a question and when it's the appropriate time to not ask somebody a question. I brought this brother on here to ask him questions because I think he's great at what he's do. I'm going to take what he's saying tonight and I'm going to apply what works for me. Anything that doesn't work for me, I won't apply. And that's how it is with everything. So I hope y'all follow the same method, but don't think that your intuition can't come from somebody outside of you. There's plenty of times in life where my intuition, somebody gave me an exact message that I needed at the exact time. So shout out to whoever asked that question. Let's get to somebody's asking a super chat. Shout out to Sierra for the super chat. Thank you, sis. RH negative blood types connected to dragons.
Okay, so I've actually asked many different spiritual entities about our blood.
Mm.
And she said that if you believe we're going to allow the enemy to truly understand your blood, you don't quite understand your enemy. She says you have yet to learn about the secrets of your blood because we have yet to come together to create an institution where we can study our own blood.
Damn, Q. Oh shit. Damn, bro.
We're making everything else. We're making apps and we doing everything else. But we can't just get a simple nonprofit. It's $30,000 for equipment. I already did the research. We can literally have our own institution for $100K where we can start monitoring our own blood samples and our own blood work. But there's, other priorities. So we'll get there.
Q, somebody's asking, what's your Cash App? Is it $ Q Reaves?
$ Q Reaves, CUEREAVES.
All right. Thank you. So, she just put it up here. Yeah, family, if you would like to donate to the brother for dropping this wisdom on us today, you can hit the brother up on Cash App, $ CUEREAVES. All right. Make sure you hit that brother up. Show the brother some Cash App love. All right. Let's see. Yeah, what a show, y'all. All right.
We let everyone study us but us. Ooh, that was a comment. Ooh, that's a comment.
All right, Q. Is there any link with when Christians speak in tongues when they say the Spirit knows what you are saying?
Yes. So I've noticed that Christianity, which is all about the secretion of one's pineal gland on the most esoteric level. This is the crystals, the oil, the secretion from one's pineal gland. I want you to understand that anytime there is a vibration, whether it's excuse my French, a clitoris, your tongue with that tonsil, your pineal gland, anytime that little stimulation comes, sounds are being emitted, but you have to pay attention to where these sounds may be coming from. Some people in church be making sounds, but those are really root expressions. It can sound almost a little sexual. You then can hear the more heart. Then you can feel this emotions tied up in that. But then there's these illusionary, you get some that claiming that they got their crystals secreting, claiming that they're the Christ, claiming that they're really doing something, but they're studied. These are people who are highly intelligent, and they're using intelligence versus true spiritual action, which could be real speaking in tongues. And I honestly don't think that you're truly going to speak in tongues from a Christ-like consciousness that got his own daddy issues anyway. Remember, his daddy let him hang on a cross. This is an entity who got daddy issues. So if you really think that a Christ-like consciousness is going to allow you to really let go and to unlock some of these primordial sounds within you, then we got to reevaluate some things. But if you are in meditation, if you are by the water, if you are doing something that aligns your body to unlock that, I say that's genuine. But I don't know if it's going to necessarily come from an entity that died on a cross, and the only thing I see everywhere I look is his body hanging on a cross. It's like they're honoring his death. Where's the tomb image? Let me get the little picture of him coming out the tomb. You know what I'm saying? Why can't I get that kind of acknowledgement? No. Every time we see this entity, he is suffering, and it represents trauma. So sure, you can speak in tongues, but it's trauma-based.
Let's see.
King David, shorty.
What is Q's thoughts about so many Sibyls waking up to realize who they are right now? Shout out to Alchemical Empress.
I don't know if I heard the term Sybil. Do you know what the term Sybil is?
Yeah, that's the like psychic sisters. They was tapped in with the Vatican. The Vatican got all this shit from.
Okay. All right. So they're like oracles.
Oracles, yeah, that's the word. Oracles,
Okay.
yeah.
What is Q's thoughts about so many oracles waking up to realize who they are right now? So I explained that we're going through these 4 directions. The first direction was the direction of the mother, which was Tiamat, the Black Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
From her, we entered into the child, the Osiris, Horus. Now we're entering the wife, the twin, the reflection of this Black Christ, kind of now entering this woman Christ. And just like Christ was an oracle expressing things to come, they are now taking on that same polarity and principle, and they're going to have way more truth. Say Christ was spitting 10 facts, they go be spitting 100. It is now shifting over to this divine feminine, but it's more child. And I don't want them to think of this as offensive. Think of it as more imaginative. That being now in this feminine child energy is allowing many women to tap into their imaginations. And as they're tapping into their imaginations, they are able to manifest various amounts of information that pertains to our past, present, and future. And of course, there's going to be powerful men that's always going to try to cipher off of even more powerful women. But women are removing themselves from this ideology. And once again, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to get to a time where her fury, isn't that a new movie coming out? Mad Max Furioso. Interesting. That we're going to kind of be dealing with this fury before we're dealing with the peace. So some of the things she may be prophesizing or speaking on will be more destructive in the beginning. But she also feels that it's time for this paradigm to develop a new reality and a new change. And it doesn't matter what happens or what it takes for us to get to that point.
Indeed. All right. Let's get to the next question. They want to know, how long are your sessions for regression work?
2 hours. 2 hours. So basically for 2 hours, you are articulating to me on a phone, because we do this over a phone. We do not have to do it in person. I do offer in-person sessions, but you are over a phone with a blindfold over your eyes in a dark space, and you are just telling me what you are seeing. And as we go deeper and deeper, whoa, let's say 30 minutes, you will probably experience something you've never experienced before. In 30 minutes. So 2 hours. 2 hours. It takes 2 hours. The best way I explain it, simply to break it down, is you're basically understanding a movie. And if you were to watch, let's say, a 30-minute movie, that's like a sitcom. Say you would watch an hour movie, that's like a series. But say you was watching a 2 hour beginning, middle, and end movie, you get the full scope. That's kind of what I based it on, because you're basically watching an internal.
All right. There's something you just said just now, Q, that gave me confirmation for a question I've been asking myself. And I'm not going to say it on camera. I tell you, when I talk to you on the phone the next time. But there was a question I was asking myself about something I was doing, and you just gave me the answer. And I just told the sister that that's how God works through people. There's a certain word you just used that I've been using, that I know this is some type of simulation, because people don't even use that word in the everyday. But so the fact that you use this word, I'm like, oh shit, he just said that word. I've been asking about this word in my mind for the past 4 days. I'll tell you off camera about it, but I just got some confirmation that I needed, brother. But damn, the way the spirit thing work, y'all, this is some strong shit. The way the spirituality work. All right, let's get to the next question. Okay, somebody wants to know, why do we need a middle person to do this? It just feels very personal.
You don't. So I use this as an example. Your subconscious is a jungle. It's a safari. And you could go your ass to Africa and go right in there to the safari. I wouldn't suggest that right away. I would suggest maybe having an expert or a guide for the first or 2 trips. Then you could be your own Jumanji. You be your own safari jungle guide. But you can. But it can be difficult. There are things you may approach that you may not understand. I have done over 1,600 regressions, regressed over 1,000 plus people. So I would say I do have a little expertise to it, but you don't need anyone but you. So if you think I'm up here on this platform saying you need me or anyone else, heck no. You don't need anyone else.
Right,
but just like you don't need anyone else to help you move, but if you get someone to help you, it makes it easier. Same concept.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just to add on to that, sis or brother, whoever that is, it's just like when when you try to tap into the spirit realm and you take DMT or ayahuasca or something, you don't need nobody to guide you or to watch over you. But a lot of people have a guide when they engage in these entheogens just to protect them or to tell them it's going to be okay. Or people who have, like you said, he did over 1,600 times. So sometimes people get assistance that way, but it's totally up to you. Only you know if you're ready or not to do things on your own, if you're honest with yourself. So yeah, it's just it is what it is.
And real quick, I often say this as well. Oh dang, I might have forgot it. Don't even worry about it. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. Dang.
Okay. It'll come back to you. It'll come back to you. Somebody wants to know, can you explain why they see 222 everywhere?
So I often consider these numbers to get reduced to a single digit. And when you start to really understand the science of 1 through 9, 3, 6, and 9 being very important aspects of this 1 through 9, each number represents something different. And it's a breakdown. Like 1 could represent the beginning. It could represent the start. It could represent soloness. It could represent all inclusive. I mean, it could be a breakdown of different things. But what's fun about numbers is that you can start to give your own definition of each one. And that should be a homework you should do, 1 through 9. And when you start breaking these down, 1, 2, 3, up to 9, and give definition to them, when you then start to see these numbers, 2, 2, 2, now you understand you're seeing 2, 3 times. That's one breakdown. And you're seeing the number 6. Play with, you have the ability to play with your own soul journey. This is a game. Don't take it too serious.
Truly.
This is what this is about. You're playing with yourself. Maybe from the future, maybe from a multiverse, but you're communicating to yourself. Learn how.
Indeed. All right, let's get to the next question.
I remember real quick. So in ancient times, this is everything our ancients did. The temples, the pyramid, everything was about going into your subconscious or getting out of your body. They didn't waste time with television. They didn't waste time with social media. They didn't waste time. They even had slaves do the gardening and stuff. The elitists did hallucinogens and various fermentations or spell work so that they can get into their subconscious and communicate with the different aspects of themselves. They were doing this 8 to 10 hours a day. We got a lot of catching up to do.
8 to 10 hours a day. God damn. All right. Woo. Wow. All right.
Think about how much time we spend watching TV and on social media.
Yeah, man. Yo, Q. I was just using I just started getting hip to TikTok the other day. Man, that shit had me on the app for 3 hours straight. I was like, yo, Rich, you gotta get off. I said, Rich, you gotta get off this shit. Yo, bro, the way these apps work, it's just like one video after another, then another suggesting one come on, then the one that you was thinking about in your mind comes up, and you just stuck. Yo, these apps are like, wow. So yeah, family, be careful with these apps, man. Be very careful. Oh man, let's get to the next question. This is a great show tonight, right, family? Let's get to the next question. Brother Q, I want you to be a part of a Christian organization called LDS or Mormons. I live in Utah. My question is, in church, once a boy man reached an age, he was given the Melchizedek priesthood. Why? Your grammar, y'all gotta improve your grammar also, y'all, because to make it easier for us to understand what you're trying to say, family. But go ahead, Q.
So the Melchizedeks, like I said, is a group of wizards or magic priests, and they are basically men that understand the secrets of the divine feminine. If you ever seen Dune and they taught the little boy some of the secrets of the divine feminine, it's the same concept. They're a group of males that are possessed by fallen angels that have learned the secrets of tricking the universe so that they can receive feminine energy. For example, George Washington wearing high heels, a wig, makeup, and a apron in his Masonic form. This is feminine worship. This is Eddie Murphy dressing up as a female. This is Martin Lawrence dressing up as a female. This is Kevin Hart dressing up as a female. It is a group of individuals that are now initiated into the secrets of the divine feminine. And instead of them praising and honoring the divine feminine, they become the divine feminine themselves. That's my personal belief.
All right. Here's a question. I like this one here. How is the structure of the divine feminine journey enforcing the divine masculine?
Well, I've discovered that there is a rogue group of females that are actually working with some of these males to keep women suppressed. So there are basically sisters going against the sisterhood. Your Planned Parenthoods. I could just give you numerous examples, but these are basically feminine goddesses that have chosen to broker deals with these gods, and they're working with them to keep women dancing on strip poles and on Sexy Red and all this other stuff. I mean, why do you think Drake is sitting here enforcing Sexy Red down our throat? It's literally a like union of toxicity. And there's basically so the story of what I story that I got was that there was two sisters. They were sisters. There was an argument or a issue with a man that they were dating, dealing with, and a man created this rift between these two feminine goddesses. And that frustration is reverberating into our life today. For example, there's a big owl in Bohemian Grove known as Malak that these elitists praise to. This is a feminine goddess, the goddess of the owl. And this goddess basically offers men whatever they want as long as they are undyingly supportive to them until they do something to piss her off. Drake would be an example of that. He was never supposed to have a baby by a stripper. This would have been the other female. And because he did that, this entity has kind of separated herself from him a little bit more. But yeah, that's a lot. That's a loaded question.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. Oh yeah, I like that one. How's the structure divine feminine journey enforcing? Yeah, just to add on to that, Bree, I also feel like in this era that we're in, this paradigm that we're in, with so much talk about the divine feminine, I think it's important for brothers to tap into their divine masculinity more than ever. With such a lack of strong manhood out there. If our purpose was one of our purposes was to protect and provide for this feminine so she could tap into her powers, it's kind of hard for her to tap into her divine powers if she doesn't have the protection and if she doesn't have the love and support or whatever it is that we should provide for her. Once we provide what she needs, she's able to be her, and once she provides what we need, we're able to tap into what we need. Just to give you an example, the better woman you have, it's impossible for me to do what I do on a nightly consistent basis without a strong woman. I don't want to say a strong woman, but without a supportive woman, a loving woman by my side and stability. So I think when we have that partner, it allows us to be a great divine masculine or a great divine feminine. And yeah, let's
The goal is for us to realize this divine feminine and divine masculine titles are no longer needed. We are united. And whatever way we're united, if I'm weak in something, you'll be strong. And if you're weak in something, I'm going to be strong. And if we need to take on titles or roles to represent that to make it easier, sure. But when I'm weak, you'll be my strength. And when you're weak, I'll be yours. And that's what I care about more than anything else.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Let's is this a question or a comment? Brother Rich, there was an episode of Star Trek titled The Game. The entire ship except Data became addicted to the game. It took a high impulse light to wake everyone up. Yeah, are you aware of that episode?
Yeah, I love Star Trek. For some reason, I've been just watching it over like the last year. I ain't never watched nothing Trekkie, Star, nothing. But yeah, I think I've seen the one with the addicted to the game. Oh yes, they was wearing this little device, and he was the only one. So basically, they caught all the gods and goddesses. If you think of the ship as a vessel that holds all the gods and goddesses, and all of them got caught up in this game. Yeah. And the only thing that was able to get them out of this game was a machine. That tells you a lot about what we're dealing with right now. See, I explained, I said the whole fall for Diddy right now, this ain't no elitist, this ain't no divine feminine, this ain't no divine masculine, this is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is bringing this dude down. This is a machine bringing this dude down. Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah.
a whole other show there. Wow.
Oh.
Let's get to another question. They want to know, can you explain the true meaning behind the Black Madonna?
So the theory is that we're dealing with, like I said, these two constructs. We're dealing with the universe and the antiverse. The universe is usually depicted as light. The antiverse is usually depicted as dark or black. And they're trying to explain Black Madonna as being the first construct, meaning that we came out of an antiverse. And from the antiverse came the child. And the child would kind of represent chaos. So you have antiverse, chaos. And then from there, it was reflected. You get the universe and the cosmos. So you just basically, they're trying to help you understand the universe and the order or the structure of the universe. And you deal with, remember, right now, there's a white Madonna. There's white Madonna on the news, right? I mean, it's the entertainment, and they show you white Madonna through Christianity and stuff right now. But even the old Christians showed her black. So someone who was smart enough realized, I need to put in the collective both aspects of this. So people now have it in their mind a Black Madonna and a white Madonna, which really then could even break down on a deeper level, say that you're dealing with two forms of the divine feminine. You're dealing with the divine feminine that embraces new space, new time, new matter, new energy. But then you're dealing with another aspect that is ready to kind of, I use it like this. As a man, I'll put something one place, and if my girlfriend comes behind me, she'll put it in another place. She's always redefining my space. I ain't tripping. I'm cool with it. But I understand what it is. Like, that's how I processed it. It's kind of like understanding. I always take these abstract constructs and place it into something tangible in my life.
Indeed.
So when I'm dealing with the lighter version of my girl, she's fine with how I leave things. When I'm dealing with the darker aspect of my girl, she kind of comes on some, this is the way it needs to be. I ain't really worried. I ain't even gonna ask you. The bottom need to be straight. The bottom need to be straight. And honestly, Black Madonna need to rise up again, because she can't sit here and keep asking us our permission when clearly we're creating nuclear bombs and global war, all the stuff we done on our watch. Well, maybe she need to come in and just fix it and not ask us no questions.
Indeed. All right, we're gonna about to get out of here, family. We're gonna get to one more question before we get out of here, family. I appreciate, we still got over 2,000 people in the chat. Definitely appreciate all of y'all coming out tonight and tuning into this epic show that we just had tonight to start the week out on this moon day. Let's get to this question and to close it out. What does it mean when you are a man that is favored by feminine deities?
All right. So the theory is there are two children. There is the child that is raised up, and there's the child that is abandoned. They showed you this in Black Panther. You had the Black Panther that was raised in Wakanda, and then the other Black Panther that was aborted and abandoned over there in America. The theory is the more the females that are still working with other females, they tend to help the aborted ones, the abandoned ones. And odds are, if you are a man that's gone through struggles, that have gone through pain, and it didn't break you, you didn't let I wasn't raised by my mother, but I didn't use that as a crutch or like I hate women. I mean, my dad was so angry at my mother growing up my whole life. If I would have became that, I know I would never have been favored by the deities, the goddesses. But they saw how even if they have let me down, even if they haven't always been there, I can still rationalize their position, not blame them, none of that. When I start to realize that some of the struggles, some of the pains, my pain was to lead to pleasure, my struggle was to lead to salvation, that's when you are favored. When you start to discover that your struggles was not because they didn't like you or because you weren't deserving. It's because they saw a certain level of strength in you. And those who have obtained that strength are highly favored and will be continued to be highly favored.
Indeed. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. Once again, Q, man, I want to thank you, my brother, for coming on the platform tonight, dropping this knowledge, this wisdom. Once again, family, make sure you hit the brother's website up. The brother's doing magnificent works out here. Tell the people your website and anything else you got coming up also, Q.
Yeah, qreaves.com. I have a course that I'm dropping relatively soon. I realize that a lot of us really do like certain levels of structure, so I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's a simple course, has some Q&As off of each lesson. That way you know that you actually got what was being expressed in the lesson. I'm dropping that within the next 2 weeks. Go be on my website. So look forward to the lessons. Look forward to the regression therapy, guided meditations, sound therapy. I've actually been collecting a lot of various instruments. I was inspired by Andre 3000. That album that he made was absolutely incredible. So I started researching all the different tools or instruments that he was using, and I was able to gain maybe about 6 or 7 of them. So I'm working
on the drum, Q, before we leave. Hit us with the drum. I seen you in the show. Hit us with the drum before we leave, man. While we wrap it up, man. Hit us with some tones, Q. Come on, brother.
Right, let's see what we got. Little songs. You have a little song.
That was sounding like the Swiss Beats this track with Eve.
Nah, I've been putting them on wax and everything. They sound cool. This is another one you got.
Oh, you got more. Oh, that's fire.
So yeah, I got a couple. I've been grabbing about 6 or 7.
What's that one called? Q, what's that one? The one you just had. What's that one called?
So my partner was actually the one who grabbed this one up for me. So I don't know the name of this one. I got another flute that's a dual flute. But yeah. I got them written down. This is relatively new, but I'm working on getting up these different instruments. I've been downloading the different planetary sounds. Every planet kind of emits a certain sound or frequency. So I wanted to try to incorporate some of these things. I actually wanted to reach out to you about it if you ever want to, collabo, or I can send you over. You can put some stuff to it yourself. But just sound therapy, real important right now.
Oh yeah, big time. Man, we got a lot to do in the future, man. We got a lot to do in the future, Q, man. This music thing is definitely gonna be the future of medicine, the future of therapy, the future of love. Like music is gonna play such an important role in humanity in this realm in the near future. And I guess that's why we see what's happening with Diddy. That has got to come down to make way for a new wave of sound and a new way of expression. So yeah, family,
Yeah, they told me, Rich, we're 5 years out from us having a meta center. And this center is going to have a variety of different systems. Of course, your recording studio would be there. Your podcast studio would be there. We would actually have a body of water. And on each corner, we would be having different instruments. And you will float to the different corners to feel the different frequencies in the water. I'm telling you, we got boy.
What the fuck is that? Nigga said, hold on, say that again. So no, say that one more time. So water, starting with the water. So the water.
Yeah, so if you put nobody on the water and you start playing the instruments, you will see the ripples in the water.
Yeah.
And they form different things based on, you could singing bowls in one, there's a harp in another, you do these different sounds. And when you really, if I mean, this could be a little costly, you could be one person sitting in the middle of this and having these 4 pillars of 4 sounds being played. Oh, talk about cleansing and opening, and then you get in the water and you emerge out fresh, renewed.
Bro,
that's just a little taste. I got a couple more for
bro.
you.
What the fuck? You man, you be traveling. You went somewhere to get that one. You went somewhere far away to get that one. That was fire right there. Oh man. All right, family. See what we talking about, family? It's just this is why it's so important for you to take what's going on right now serious and tap in right now. So you could be in this realm where we're about to be, this realm of high frequency beings, because everybody's talking about this split that's happening. And yeah, you just want to be on the right side. You want to be on the right side of history, family. So let's all tap in, do what we got to do, family. Take this shit serious. We're not just here to entertain you. This is actually some real shit. You know, when we get off this camera, me and Q, we both tap in and do what we do on an individual basis. I hope y'all doing the same thing. Don't just take this as TV and as entertainment. There's some real shit that we dealing with and we talking about here. You see Q investing in instruments. I invest in instruments. We all investing in things. So let's do this thing, family. We got this, all right? Q, my brother, good talking to you. I'm definitely going to talk to you on the phone soon, my brother. Chop it up with you about a couple of things. Family, thank you for tuning in. I will be back Wednesday. I won't be back tomorrow. I'll be back Wednesday. And with that being said, Brother Rich, Q Reaves signing out, family. Peace. Good night and take care. Peace.